We could say good afternoon to everybody. Obviously, it's 3:06 here on East Coast time. Like I was mentioning to Jonathan earlier on today, and being from San Francisco, and I'm sitting in the New York metro area, we really don't ever get an opportunity to see palmetto trees or some nice water. So I decided to bring a little sunshine and palmetto trees to everyone's day today. Really excited to present the Weiss financial ratings portion of the database that covers the Medicare Medigap supplemental pricing tool. My name is Tom Kilkenny. I work for Weiss Financial Ratings and Gray House Publishing. And this The database is provided for free through the San Francisco Public Library System, as they feel like this is a vital resource for their patrons to be able to utilize. And as long as you have a San Francisco Public Library card, you can have 100% remote access to this program. And of course, if you're in any one of the wonderful San Francisco Public Libraries, you don't need a library card. You just have instant access the second you log into one of their computers there. For me, I'm 34 years as a wealth manager. I decided about 4.5 years ago to trade in working with extremely demanding clients, to work with very friendly librarians and patrons alike. Complete 180 for me in the financial world. What I'm going to be going over today is what Medicare covers, what maybe they don't cover, two resources to possibly fill the gaps. We do not represent any companies. If I do happen to mention the name of a company, it is for example purposes only. I absolutely, when I make mention of any names, it is in no way, shape, or form a way that I'm expressing to you that maybe you should bind insurance with this company or buy into this company. I'm just using it for example purposes only. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here so everyone can see. The one thing I'm also going to tell you is I am not an expert on this matter. Do I know enough to make myself extremely dangerous? Absolutely. I will share with you throughout this presentation actually who are the experts here. My responsibility is to be extremely proficient with the entire Weiss financial ratings database. And I think I do a fairly decent job at that. But like I said, I should be able to answer almost all, if not all, almost, if not all of your questions. But anything that's more specific, I will certainly point you in the right direction and give you the right resources to do that. And I always highly recommend your reference librarians in your local library there in San Francisco. They live and they breathe to give their patrons the vital information that they're looking for. Please utilize your reference librarians. They love helping you, even in subjects that you think that they don't cover. The chances are that they can point you in the right direction. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And this is going to be important for me. Okay. Now, Jonathan, if you could, I just want to make sure that everyone can see this screen so we can continue. Awesome. Thank you. Today, we're going to be going over the Medicare Supplement Insurance, how to pick the right plan and get the best rate. I'm going to share a few Medigap secrets that might save you a bunch of money as well. Um, Also, to let you know, I like to call it dropping little nuggets. I will be dropping some nuggets along the way that maybe are not part of the PowerPoint presentation, but could certainly be helpful once you reach this portion of your life, and which we call the Medicare phase. Some might call it the Medicare maze. So one of the things that I want to immediately point out to you, the Weiss financial ratings, we're absolutely independent, unbiased, and we try to be as accurate as possible. As stated in Forbes magazine and Wall Street Journal, we may be one of or the only online database, financial database that is truly independent. We don't have any ties to any organization out there, and 100% of all of our ratings and recommendations are by way of fundamentals, numbers, and indexes. We do not do anything off of hypotheticals or forecasting. So you could be rest assured we're going to get you really unbiased and independent information. Now, the Medicare and Medigap discussion is designed to help you navigate through the Medicare maze. You notice how I skipped the Medicare phase because a lot of people, once they start to move into the age of 65, they're jumping into a maze. They're not quite sure what Medicare actually covers. What they'll pay for, what we're responsible as the insured to pay for. And our primary goal today is to tell you about the choices that you do have available that might be able to help you save as much money as possible. And of course, at the end of this talk, you'll all have the opportunity to download your own customized Medigap report. Again, that can help you find and select the best Medicare supplement insurance policy for you with the strongest companies for the least amount of money. And why can we do that for you today? Because you can do it for free, because the San Francisco Public Library subscribes to the Weiss Financial Ratings because they do feel it's a fantastic resource for their patrons. Here's some of the things that we're going to cover today. Major expenses that Medicare doesn't cover. Well, you immediately see my inner New York come out. Instead of saying does not cover, I just cut to the chase and say doesn't. I have to change that one of these days. When is open enrollment and what does that actually mean? Why Medigap can be better than Medicare Advantage. And again, I wanted to point out why Medigap can be better. It doesn't say it is, it can be better than Medicare Advantage. And more often than not, it usually is. And last but not least, how to get lower premiums, save hundreds, even thousands of dollars, especially when we're in metropolitan areas like New York, San Francisco. It's usually thousands of dollars. Well, when can we join Medicare? This is a common question that's asked often. The 7-month initial enrollment period starts 3 months before your 65th birthday, obviously the month of your 65th birthday, and 3 months after your 65th birthday. Now, the open enrollment period is from October 15th to December 7th. So you can rest assured, probably within the next week or so, you are going to see a vast amount of marketing, whether it be television, emails, text messages for Medicare supplement policies, Medicare Advantage policies. Many seniors get very inundated with this. And of course, it usually rolls out around October 1st because it's a very short period that we have that open enrollment period. And if you are still working and you're covered by insurance, just to give you a little reminder, Medicare can supplement your employer coverage as well. When can you change your plan or your insurer? This is a common misconception. People feel as though that the moment they make that selection, that they're sort of stuck there like quicksand. That's not the case. If you have a Medigap plan now and you want to change your plan or your insurer, you can do so during that open enrollment each year from October 15th to December 7th. Now, keep in mind, even though you make that change, during the open enrollment period between October 15th and December 7th, your actual coverage will not start until January 1st the following year. Very important. Understanding Medicare coverage. Now, right off the bat, we take a look at the Medicare Part A, which is the hospital insurance, Medicare Part B, which is medical insurance. Now, we have Medicare Part C and Medicare Part D. Those are actually, that's where the misconception comes that these are actually regulated by the actual government themselves, and that's not the case. Part A and Part B 100% are part of the Medicare program, and we'll certainly go over that as we go through our presentation today. Medicare Part A, it covers hospital-related services and emergency care, inpatient hospitalization, home health services, skilled nursing services, and hospice. Medicare Part A does not cover all of your hospital costs, and it does not cover long-term care. Medicare Part B, it covers your regular medical care and helps with outpatient services like your primary care physician, doctor's office visits, laboratory services, and ambulatory services, as well as diagnostic services. That is your Medicare Part B. So you might think you're totally covered when we take a look at Part A and Part B. Medicare does not cover all of the costs associated with hospital and medical insurance, and it absolutely does not include prescription drug coverage. Now, the next slide is a slide that everyone seems to enjoy. This really points out all of the co-insurances that you may wind up having to pay if you stick with Medicare alone. So here, Medicare out-of-pocket costs for 2024, which will obviously play into 2025. Here, I wanted to point out the Medicare Part A, which is the inpatient hospitalization. If we wind up getting admitted to the hospital and we spend anywhere from 1 to 60 days in a hospital, we are responsible for the first $1,632 before Medicare steps in and pays anything. Now, for any reason we're in a hospital a little longer and we're in there 61 to 90 days, we will be required to pay an additional $408 per day. So if it costs $500 a day is the cost, Medicare will step in and pay 92, but we are responsible to pay the first $408 per day. Now, let's hope we don't need to spend any more time in the hospital, because 91 to 150 days, it's $816 per day. $1,816 per day. That gets me a tiki hut in Bora Bora. I'd much rather spend time in Bora Bora than in a hospital paying $816. But the moral of the story here is you see how quickly costs can mount up for somebody that maybe is just, comfortable sticking with Medicare alone. Now, of course, we have our Part B, our annual deductible, which is meeting with our primary care physician. And then, of course, we have our Part B monthly premium, which is roughly $174.70. It all depends on one's income. Obviously, as your income is higher, that number will change, but usually those incomes are in excess of six figures. And to be quite candid with you, usually when you have income like that sitting in retirement, people aren't all too worried about their Part B monthly premium being a little bit higher. Other hidden costs that Medicare, uh, none of these things are covered. Prescription drugs, vision, emergency care abroad, dental, and hearing aids. Now, I always like to share my own personal situations to really drive things home. Um, I am a person that enjoys food a great deal. Unfortunately, being here in the metropolitan New York area and probably not having the healthiest diet, I do take some high blood pressure medication. 5 years ago, I was a pure athlete. I didn't have these. I had eagle-like vision. Well, like Don Amici said in a movie, things had changed. Emergency care abroad, I travel quite extensively myself. And of course, dental, having teeth in your mouth certainly helps make the food taste just a little bit better. And of course, hearing aids. My children consistently complain that maybe I need hearing aids. I just reference them that it might just be selective hearing. But for me, I sort of hit on all cylinders here. So when it's time for me, the likelihood is I'm probably going to have to go for a supplemental policy myself because I'm sort of hitting on all five cylinders here. Let's always keep in mind when Medicare was established in 1965, it was never meant to cover all of the medical care for your senior years. It was only intended to cover only the most basic needs. Now, remember, there were a lot of services that were brought forth in 1965, none of which have gone away. They were all supposed to be band aids that in a few years we were supposed to relinquish. Uh, Fortunate for some, unfortunate for others. It still exists today, but you do have choices in regards to your healthcare. You can just stick with the Medicare Part A and Part B and be comfortable if you need to pay some of those deductibles and co-payments like the $1,632 or the $408 or the $816 per day. Um, or you can purchase additional coverage to help fill those gaps. And you can make this decision based upon your own unique healthcare needs. Two choices to fill those gaps. One is the Medicare Advantage Part C, and two is the Medicare Supplemental Insurance, better yet known as the Medigap. Now, right off the bat, I did make mention earlier on when I showed you Medicare Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D. Most people have the common misconception that Medicare Advantage is a part of the Medicare system. Well, Medicare Advantage coverage is provided by private insurance and it is limited to a defined network of doctors and providers. So I need to repeat that. These are third party providers. And I always say this before you make any decisions between going with a Medicare Advantage plan or a supplemental plan, always a great idea to search the internet and see if there's any findings, see if there's any reviews on certain plans. I know Medicare Advantage over the last few years. Has certainly taken their punches to the nose. So it's really important, one, that you find out if that type of plan is most appropriate for you, and secondly, because of some of the current situations that have gone on, some class action lawsuits. You always want to check with your primary care physician just to make sure that they're still accepting the Medicare Advantage plan. And the Medicare Advantage plan, it combines the Part A hospital insurance, Part B Medicare, and oftentimes it's Part D prescription drugs is added as well. Medicare Supplement Insurance, better yet known as Medigap. This actually does cover deductibles, the co-payments, and the co-insurances, like the $1,632, the $408, and the $816. It is designed to fill in the gaps that Medicare Part A and Part B does not cover. Here's an amazing side-by-side comparison. The original Medicare and Medicare supplement, obviously, when you have more comprehensive coverage, the premiums are going to be a little higher, but you're not going to have any of those copays. You will have the freedom to choose doctors. Very rarely are there referrals necessary. Now, some of the negatives here, some of the routine services not covered, like vision and hearing. I would sort of be out of luck there, and my kids would be out of luck for the hearing aids for me. And The one important thing for me, it's covered anywhere in the United States, and six plans actually offer coverage abroad. That's very, very important because not only do I do a lot of these fantastic Zoom learning sessions with many of my libraries across the country, but I actually travel amongst the entire country as well, presenting in person, as well as I do a lot of overseas traveling as well. So, again, supplemental policies for me personally might fall a little bit more in line. Now, the Medicare Advantage, you generally have lower premiums, but it does have copayments. You may be restricted to a network. Now, it's very, very important because somebody said, well, I have a Medicare Advantage plan, but I could see any doctor I want. And there is a lot of merit to that statement. However, most of the time, those physicians are out of network and you will pay more than you would pay if you were in network. So that is why we use the terminology may be restricted to a network. You may need referrals for a specialist. And one of the really bright spots is it may include extra benefits like your vision, hearing, as well as fitness. Now, last year they were looking to get rid of some of the fitness programs that they were offering for free. I think that everything that was happening in regards to the class action lawsuits, they decided to not rock the boat all too hard, and they kept the fitness in there. And one of the more important things to remember outside of your service area, you are limited to emergency services only. Secret one, Medigap plans offer identical coverage. There are currently 10 Medigap plans, each known by a letter A to N, and two plans F and G. They actually have a high deductible option as well. For every lettered plan, every insurer that offers that plan provides the same exact benefit. So, again, I may mention a name of a company. Please don't take it as a solicitation to purchase these companies. I'm using the names of these companies as examples only. But let's say we wanted to look at a Plan G, which is probably considered the most comprehensive plan. And I may have a Humana plan G. And my brother may have a United Healthcare Plan G. Well, the one thing I can tell you is the services and benefits in those Plan Gs are identical. And the government actually regulates that. So all Plan Gs have the same exact benefits and services, regardless of the insurer that you select. And that means that all Plan As, Plan Bs, Fs, Gs, they're all the same, and that is actually regulated by the government. Now, you can pick the plan that has the coverage that you want. You can compare one insurer to another, and you can pick the plan that has the best rate because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that these plans fit within our budget. Questions to ask yourself when picking a Medigap plan. What is your income? Using your customized Medigap report, you can shop for a Medigap plan that has the most benefits that will fit within your budget. Do you think, or will you want or need nursing care? Look at your family's medical history. If your parents or grandparents needed nursing care, you may also need similar care in the future. Um, One of the things I could certainly tell you is sharing a personal experience. My mom had cardiovascular disease, and when she got out of the hospital, especially in Long Island, New York, um, she left the hospital and they sent her to the Taj Mahal of all nursing care facilities. And after a certain period of time, they told her that they needed to send her to a place that Medicare would cover because uh, was a uh, she was a hard-headed Sicilian, and she didn't want any additional coverages. So she just went with the regular Medicare Part A and Part B, much against my advice to her. So sure enough, when they asked her if she was ready to leave, I asked them, what are the selections? And the selections that were given to us weren't really the most beneficial selections. And of course, my mom looks at me with her sad puppy eyes and says, Tommy, I like it here. They do a lot of activities for the seniors, and I really feel comfortable here. Now, for me, I mean, that's my mom. So I'm going to do whatever I can to make my mom feel comfortable. I'll give a limb for my mother. So with that being said, my mom wound up staying there. Unfortunately, I had to take on the burden of paying for that, and even less than a year, it cost my brother and I about $90,000. So again, you want to take that into account because nursing care facilities are very, very expensive. And do you travel a lot overseas? I happen to travel a lot, especially in Asia and Europe. And if so, you can get coverage for emergency care in foreign countries with plan C through G, M and N. Well, deciding between Medigap plans, well, certainly we could pay higher premiums for the more comprehensive coverage, or we could pay a little less of a premium, but potentially, take the dice in your hand, blow it and roll it, and see if we can get away with paying a little less for a premium, but taking on some of that risk ourselves with the potential of possibly paying more out of pocket if something does happen to us. Here's another chart that many patrons absolutely love. It's the breakdown of all of the benefits through supplemental policies Medigap. Obviously, I'll use my mouse here. You'll see Plan F and Plan G are the most comprehensive. They cover the most. Excuse me. The secret too, Medigap plans are standard, but the rates are not. Remember, the government actually mandates that all Plan Gs have the same services and benefits. Doesn't matter the insurance company, but the one thing the government doesn't mandate is how much you pay. And that's why this resource is such a vital tool for you to be able to go in effectively every year and shop for a policy that's most appropriate for you. Excuse me. Insurance premiums can vary thousands of dollars a year for the same exact coverage. Now, the next three examples are policies that I actually ran today with nationally brand name companies. And we'll go over those right now. Here we have a female, age 65, living in San Francisco, California. And I went with all Plan Gs, which is the most comprehensive. It's almost like the old HMOs that we all remember back when high deductibles were not the big thing like they are today. Now, Plan G's highest premium was $3,411. Now, for that same Plan G, the lowest premium was $1,535. Because this person decided to shop, they saved $1,876 per year. Now, I always say this. Let's take three examples here. And I think one of the goals is very achievable. I think the other two goals are very unachievable. Well, the first goal is once we hit 65 and we hit Medicare, well, that we're able to live 10 years through Medicare, which would be age 75. Now, we knock on wood and let's hope that that can take place. It seems very achievable. Now, the second, which I think is very unachievable, is that premium rates stay stagnant for 10 years. The likelihood of that, eh, probably zero. The third, which I also think is fairly impossible, is that inflation stays stagnant for 10 years. But let's say Orion's belt lines up perfectly. And this is probably the best case scenario. How much would this patron have saved over 10 years? Almost $19,000 just simply by shopping. It shows you the power. And I didn't use any compounding or anything because we know without question inflation is there. Premiums are going to rise. So these numbers could be staggeringly more that that patron has the opportunity to save. Here we have a male age 68 living in San Francisco, California. Plan G's highest premium, $4,114. The lowest was $1,818. Again, same Plan G, same benefits, same services. The government doesn't regulate the pricing. Because this gentleman shopped, he was able to save himself $2,296 per year. Now, again, if we took that same example by 10, it's almost $23,000. That's a brand new car just simply by shopping. By the way, I won't give the names of these companies, but they are nationally recognized companies. Um, both of these companies, actually, the highest premium, the company is rated a B. Plan G is actually rated an A. Again, highest premium, safety rating was a B. Lowest premium, their safety rating was an A. Both nationally recognized name companies. Well, let's say we're a 65-year-old female, 68-year-old male, married couple living in San Francisco. Well, they're both purchasing a Plan G policy, and the highest premium would be about $7,525 a year. Uh, it's a very high number. Now, if we did some shopping, the lowest combined premium would be $3,353. Now, this couple would have saved $4,172. Again, if we use that same example for 10 years, forget about the mid-sized car. We can actually maybe start looking at some Infinities or Lexus mid-sized cars there with almost a saving of $42,000. That's a lot of money. How safe is your insurer? I just pointed that out that one was a B rated, one was an A rated.
Hey, Tom, could I interrupt you for a second?
Of course.
We had a couple questions in the chat.
Mhm.
So one patron asked, I'm past 74 and have an Advantage plan and pre-existing conditions. If I switch to original Medicare with Plan G during open enrollment, will premiums be sky high compared to if I enrolled in Plan G when I first got Medicare?
Unfortunately, that is the case. And that is one of the things that I would always recommend because what winds up happening is people sort of play tic tac toe with their insurance year to year. Sometimes they say, hey, I'm not going anywhere overseas. I don't need that comprehensive coverage. I'm sort of going to be staying home. So I'm just going to go with an Advantage plan this year. And then the following year, they realize that they're going to be doing some traveling and they're probably going to need some more comprehensive coverage. So they go with a supplemental plan. Now, what everyone needs to know is the moment you go back to an Advantage plan, if you decide at any point in time you want to go back into a supplemental plan, you're going to go through full underwriting. Now, regardless, based upon age, premiums are going to rise. And if you do wind up, suffering an illness during that period, unfortunately, you will get rated. So really for people that are right out of the gate, it's really important that you make the selection that's most appropriate for you. A lot of people will tend just to look at the most inexpensive option for them. And sometimes, and in this case, it may not work out well for the young lady who had asked that question, because if she does have illnesses, I wouldn't say the word skyrocket, would be in order, but it will certainly be higher than if she had started out in a supplemental policy to opposed to Advantage, if that answers your question.
Thanks, Tom. And one other question, just to clarify, the premiums that you were citing, um, those are for the by month or year?
Those are annual. Oh, yes, please. I couldn't even imagine if those were monthly. Um, yeah, we would all, the country would be in a world of hurt.
Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. How safe is your insurance? So, one of the things that we talked about, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, one of the highest one was the actual United Healthcare through AARP. That was the B-rated company. And the lowest premium was actually Humana, and that was the A-rated company. Just so that you're aware, they're both nationally name brand companies. A and B, as you'll see, are still excellent and very good, but clearly somebody was paying half of what a premium was being paid at a much higher rate. And you were actually able to get a stronger, more financially sound company, and you paid half the price. And that is why going ahead and utilizing this resource to proactively go ahead and do the comparison and shopping that you should be doing. It's a very frugal thing to do every year. Um, it works out great. Now, obviously, A and B, they're good. I highly suggest that, if those are one of the companies that you're thinking about going with, we give those a green light. That means the numbers and the financial pillars that are important are all there. C being fair. Doesn't necessarily mean run away or run to, just like a traffic light, like it looks like a traffic light right there. It just means, heed, with caution. It just means keep an eye. It maybe means that the numbers or the financials of that insurance company weren't quite where we wanted them to be. So we gave them a fair model. And obviously, if you're a D or an E, I always say in the famous words of Jenny to Forrest, run, Forrest, run. Just means that the numbers and the financials are just not there. And we don't feel all too confident that the thousands of dollars that we pay in premiums, with the hopes, and I knock on wood, that we never need the benefit that we're buying into. But God forbid we need that benefit. Let's make sure we're doing business with a company that has the financial fortitude to pay those premiums, those benefits. Mhm.
And Tom, could you clarify what Weiss means by safety rating?
So safety rating, we look into five pillars: capitalization, profitability, ability to pay, all things that are essential for these insurance companies, as well as some of their service. Service also plays a very vital role. I mean, you can have a company that has, the best financials in the world. However, their service ratings are not all that great. And it's important for us to make sure that the patrons or the insureds are receiving those services in a good fashion. Then that's those ratings for insurance companies, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Thank you. And there was another question. You stated that we can shop around for a supplemental plan during open enrollment period. What about the California birthday rule? Do you know about that? They clarify saying, it's my understanding that each year on your birthday you can shop for a Medigap plan, same letter or less, without going through underwriting.
That very well may be the case for California, and that's why I also come out in the very beginning and tell you I'm not the expert in all of this, and I'm going to actually show you who the experts are, because I would highly recommend, because when we say independent, unbiased, and accurate, we want to make sure you're getting the most accurate information. So you'll see on one of the slides, I'll point you to the person that is the pure expert. And that also is a free resource to patrons across the country. And they will have the answers very direct for your specific communities. And they may even have some insight to, let's say you're shopping and you find three companies that are roughly the same price, roughly the same coverage. Some of these individuals might be able to point you in a good direction because they have a ton of experience with dealing with these companies.
Great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Safer insurers are not necessarily the most expensive. We just seen in our last slide. You had one company that had a B safety rating, which was the highest premiums, and the one that had the lowest had an actual A rated. And I will tell you, it's more often than not that the cheaper premium companies are typically less expensive. Higher premiums do not mean you're getting coverage from a stronger, more financially stable insurance provider. And of course, the last secret, it is no secret. We always can make the choice. The choice is ours. And it always has been. And let's make sure we can always keep it that way. More coverage for less. Reduce your premiums. Balance the financial safety of your insurer with your choice of plan. And of course, I'm going to rehash the 4 secrets that we just went over. Medigap plans offer identical coverage. Medigap plans are standard, but the rates are not. Safer insurers are not necessarily more expensive. And of course, last but certainly not least, you can make the choice. Now, the Weiss Financial Ratings Medigap report helps you make the right choice for you and your specific situation. You can pick the right coverage. You can pick the lowest rate. You can save valuable time and money. And you can pick the best and most affordable plan from all available providers in your zip code, customized just for you. And you get it all for free. Why? Because the San Francisco Public Library System feels that this is a fantastic resource for you. Here are some common questions. Now, I can't see everybody, so I can't really see on whether or not we have anyone that's of age. However, somebody did make mention that they were a little older, 9 years into Medicare. The eligibility for plans C and F. If you were eligible for Medicare after January 1st of 2020, Plan C, Plan F, and high deductible Plan F will not be available to you. If you are eligible for Medicare before January 1st, 2020, you can continue to enroll in Plan C, Plan F, and high deductible Plan F. Consider Plan D instead of Plan C or Plan G instead of Plan F. The only difference is the $240 Part B deductible. Now, I want to make this crystal clear. If you take a look at the annual premiums, most of the time between Plan F and a Plan G, there's always at least over $100 difference there. Now, back in 2019, a huge uproar. People were very mad that they were going to have to pay the deductible and everything else. And when we went back and said, hey, take a look at the premiums, they looked at the annual premium. The difference was really only a little over $100, and they sort of were pulling their hair out of their head for a little over $100 difference. Just not worth it. So again, a lot of times, Plan F to Plan G, a lot of times the difference in that annual premium will help offset that $240 Part B deductible. Now, again, when it first started, it was only in the upper 100s. And last year it was just 233, and the year before 226. So it hasn't increased tremendously year after year, but it has increased. The solutions offered by Weiss Ratings Customized Medigap Report is to help you find and select the best Medigap policy for you with the strongest companies for the least amount of money. Naturally, everybody's situation is unique. If you do have more questions, um, I'm going to highly urge this of you. One, talk to your doctor. Find about your future healthcare needs. Make sure that the plan you're selecting will give you the coverage that you're going to require. Always extremely important when you're talking to the insurance companies that you've selected, make sure all of your specific questions are answered. Ask them what your coverage is. Ask them scenarios. This is very important. Disclosure is extremely important. And unfortunately, that's probably why a lot of these Medicare Advantage programs got hit with class action lawsuits because they are not regulated by the government. Therefore, disclosures were not very prominent, not like some of the supplemental plans that are government regulated. Now, I had made mention to you that I am not the expert. However, you can talk to a SHIP counselor, and that is the State Health Insurance Assistant Programs counselor, to get personalized one on one Medicare counseling over the phone or in person to help you further. And you could locate your local SHIP counselor in your area by visiting this website. That website is right there. You'll receive a copy of this PowerPoint presentation where you could look there. However, I always suggest you can always talk to your reference librarian. A lot of times, libraries actually have SHIP counselors come in via appointments. And this is a free resource to you. They are government employees, they are the experts when it comes to Medicare. This is what they do day in and day out. I also want to drop a nugget for you. Very important. Out of all of these people that we'll speak to, another very important person that you may want to contact, your primary care physician's office manager. Let's say you're looking at a plan G and you're undecided between two or three companies. They're right around the same price. Obviously, we know the coverage and the benefits are the same. We just don't know which company to go for. Go to your office manager, ask them. Without a doubt, they will actually immediately tell you which one. And the reason that is because they know the insurance companies that are easy to deal with, that give easy approvals, that don't take forever. And that's very important. So that's one nugget that I did want to leave for you. The office manager at your primary care physician is a great resource for you if a decision needs to be made that you just can't make. How to get your own Medigap report? Well, here we show you. You could go to the sfpl.org. You're going to click on Research and Learn. You're going to select the articles and databases. And under, obviously, you're going to have A through Z. Under W, you're going to click on W, and you'll find the Weiss ratings there. And you'll be able to go on and run your own customized Medigap report. Now, just so you know, any of the information you'll see on the lower left-hand side as you get to the Medigap section of the database, you'll see a disclosure on the lower left-hand side. We do not share or keep your information for any reason. The email address that's provided is simply for us to email you the customized report. You'll see ways that you can certainly bypass that. Uh, Three items that we can't bypass. One is age. And the reason why we can't bypass age is because as we get older, we get a little more brittle and premiums typically go up. Gender plays a vital role. Females have a longer life expectancy than males. And therefore, the rates are typically a little cheaper for females over males. And last but certainly not least, the zip code. Now, normally I get a chance to say, physicians in the San Francisco zip code charge immensely different than they do here in the metropolitan New York area. But I would say San Francisco is almost as metropolitan as New York. So those rates that they're charging are probably going to be pretty similar. But all three of those categories will adjust the premium that you will pay for insurance. So those are the reasons why we can't bypass those three subjects. And I would be completely remiss if I didn't say thank you. And I would love to open it up to any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Tom. That was really great. Um, Looks like we already have one question. And I do want to, I put this in the chat, but I want to reiterate anyone should feel free to contact our department at any time if you'd like help accessing Weiss Financial Ratings. You can do that in person on the fourth floor at the main library, or you can send us an email or give us a call, and we can talk you through how to get to that resource and how to access the report. Um, our email address is bizscitech@sfpl.org, and our phone number is 415-557-4488. And those contacts are in the chat there. Um, so it looks like our first question, um, if on Medigap, you can pick any doctor, so the doctors won't be saying, we don't accept Medigap patients.
That is correct.
Does anyone else have any questions at this point? Well, Tom, let me ask you, if you're approaching the age when you're going to need Medicare, like when do you want to start um, researching this? Like, when is it, when do you recommend that?
There could be no earlier time to do it. I mean, yes, I just saw it. Yes, they will be available to you. Everyone that is on this, on this presentation will receive a copy of this slideshow for sure. I figure I'd answer that for you.
Yeah.
um, but I don't think you can start soon enough with researching, speaking to your doctor, speaking to your office manager, even reaching out to a ship counselor, because a lot of times, people are very unaware of um, the companies that are available to them in their specific area. And it's important that we do that type of research so that when we're ready to start shopping, we can go ahead and uh, yeah, I apologize for that. I'm reading as they come up, and yeah, they won't give any advice for any specific companies. Um, but the one thing they can do is, I'm sure that uh, they will uh, uh, they will share some of the positives that they hear from a lot of the patrons that they actually sit with. But they know a lot of the companies that are very easy to deal with. Trust me, I don't think they're going to sway you in a down a street that's not going to be safe for you.
And also, just to circle back, yes, we will be sending the slides from this presentation as well as a recording of the entire presentation, along with a brief survey. And I'd really encourage you, the survey only takes, a minute or two to fill out, and it really helps us in improving our programs and in designing new programs. So yeah, keep an eye out for that email. It'll come later this afternoon. And yes, please take a moment to fill out the survey. Looks like there's another question there.
Are there life events that allow you to enroll outside of the and every state is different, and there are some life events that will allow you to do that.
Where could people find information about that?
I would highly recommend talking to the ship counselor. Again, those ship counselors don't. I know a lot of times. How long does underwriting take? Honestly, it depends on the company. Sometimes underwriting can be as quick as less than 24 hours. Um, but it could take as long as 7 days. Most of the time, it's usually within 48 to 72 hours. Well, I heard just saw if in case you move, um, there questions are coming fast and quick. Um, but yeah, let me see. Was there any in there, Jonathan, that you felt
Um, yeah, so this is one that I think we get in some of our other programs. If you have a health benefit from your employer, um, after leaving, how should you evaluate Medicare and voluntary options? Does Weiss report, are they able to take this nuance into account? So I think this is for either benefits through an employer or retiree benefits. How does that affect the situation here?
so the Weiss financial ratings, let's remember, it's a tool. It's a resource to shop. It's not necessarily going to give you advice in what to do. That is where I would say a ship counselor would make the most sense for you to contact and ask those vital questions too. I think that it's just once you find that a supplemental policy is most appropriate for you, um, it's really good to go in and take a look and see what options in your zip code that you have available to you. What is their safety rating? Because this is everything that gets pulled up. The second you put your age, your gender, and that zip code, we go ahead and we extract every single insurance company that's capable of being written in that zip code, their safety rating, their annual premium as well as their monthly premium, and even more importantly, their contact information so that if you want to reach out to them and get more vital information, you can certainly do that. So it really is sort of like a one-stop shop, but we don't guide you in a direction of any particular companies. We just put the reference out there for you so that you can make a good educated decision with in what might be most appropriate for you. And there's no question in my mind, if you talk to a ship counselor, they will certainly guide you in the right direction for the right type of coverage for your unique situation. And if a supplemental policy, which is becoming and growing more likely in the last number of years, we just have a fantastic resource to be able to provide. And it's a very comprehensive because Medicare website does offer some of those companies. They show the companies and everything else. We just are a little bit more comprehensive. We'll show tobacco, non-tobacco, preferred, standard rates, level two rates. So if somebody maybe has an illness and they're frightened, like we had one young lady who had made mention that she's 74 and she suffered an illness. Uh, sometimes people get frightened and they don't want to make the phone call because they may hear a number that just frightens the living daylights out of them. Well, by being able to go in and input the information that's needed, just the age, the gender, and the zip code, you can look for level two rating, which means that you're being rated. And you can see all the different numbers. And if any of those numbers make sense to you, um, why not give them a call?
Um, really quick, I will address this question about Weiss financial ratings being available um, to people in the Bay Area who have library cards from counties other than San Francisco. Two things about that. One is I'd encourage you to reach out to your local library and see if they possibly have access. The other thing is that any California resident is eligible to obtain a San Francisco Public Library card. You will have to um, just one time visit one of our locations in person in order to complete the application process. But yes, any California resident can obtain a San Francisco Public Library card, and that way you would have access to Weiss financial ratings. I hope that answered that question.
I also want to um, I also want to drop another little nugget. Um, if you are a patron of the San Francisco Public Library System and you have loved ones in other areas of the country, um, it's not it's not only the zip code of San Francisco that you can put. So if you have a loved one that maybe lives in Texas and they don't have access to the Weiss financial ratings database, you're always more than welcome to put their age, their gender, the zip code in which they live, and their email address, and we'll email the customized report to them as well. So you might be able to make yourself a few friends, or have your loved ones maybe want to feed you a little bit more during Thanksgiving time because you were able to help them out, all because San Francisco feels like it's a great resource.
It There was a question, with Medigap, could one go to any specialist in the country?
You know what? That's a very vague question, in the way of any specialist is is pretty broad. I would probably say check with the specialist first to see if they accept the particular insurance that you have. Um, Not every specialist, there are some specialists out there that only take cash. They don't even take insurance. So again, everything is unique to a situation. But as far as specialists go, most specialists do accept a lot of these Medicare, Medigap supplemental policies, and you don't need referrals.
I think, unless we missed a question here, I think, we are caught up. Um, does anyone else have any questions, something you maybe just thought of? We'll take a moment too, so think about it and, put your questions in the chat. We still have a few minutes left, in this
Sure.
program.
Well, the one thing I always, in case we don't have any more questions, and I end every single one of my presentations with this, um, a lot of times I get asked to visit libraries the second week of September, and I decline it all the time because there's a particular day in the second week of September that I refuse to work. I was a senior analyst for a company called Solomon Smith Barney at Seven World Trade Center. So one of the things that I can tell you is that I was there on that day, and I saw and smelled things I don't wish on anybody. But the one thing I can tell you is I was a city slicker with my hair slicked back, with my Ferragamo shoes and my Rolex watch and my pinstripe suit, and I had not a care in the world but making money. That day completely changed my life, I think for the better. I became a much more compassionate person. Uh, and the one thing it made me realize is that time is the most precious thing on the face of this earth. You can't buy time. And I think we spent just about 60 minutes of your time today. And I only hope that I was able to add an ounce of value to your time today. And if I was able to do that, it was time that was extremely well spent by me. And I thank you to everyone that was able to join us today. And I thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing that, Tom, and, yeah, we really appreciate, you coming and, speaking to us today, and I certainly found this valuable. I'm gonna probably talk to my folks after this and, make sure they know everything that you've shared with us today. Um, and yeah, again, thank you so much. This, really means a lot to, both the San Francisco Public Library and to our patrons that you're able to come talk to us. And then, yeah, thank all of our participants for coming today. We had some great questions. Oh, wait, another question. Do we have to sign up at the Weiss site in order to get the report? I submitted my info and got a message, cannot generate report.
S-
Um, yeah, go
So,
ahead.
so what's happened there are some issues with certain usually it's people are using Edge or they're using Chrome, and some actually work a little slower than not. We are aware over the last 2 days, and we're working on that issue right now. Again, some of the platforms like an Edge or a Google Chrome. They're working a little bit. Yeah, I use Chrome, and yeah, Chrome seems to be the one, like, you have to refresh the page to be able to get it. So if you get that, a lot of times if you just hit the refresh, a lot of times you'll wind up getting the email with the report. But it is something that we are currently working on, so we do apologize for that. But it is something that we are currently aware of and working very diligently on. And I highly recommend everybody. Again, I can't say it enough. I love San Francisco Public Library. I love working with everyone there. You have great resources like Jonathan and Alice, tons of people who I work with. And if you guys have questions, by all means, do never hesitate. Go to your reference librarian and see them. They really like to help their patrons.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, if you run into any issues accessing this, contact us. Or if you have any other questions, yeah, reach out to us. If you're just curious about what other kinds of services and resources we have, we love to talk about it. So, yeah, come talk to us. And if you're available on October 5th, head to the Personal Finance Resource Fair, and then October 19th, our big financial planning day. I'll include links and information about those events in my follow-up email later today. And yeah, I hope to see you all at both of those events. Um, well, Tom, thanks again, and we'll have you back soon to talk about this and the many other subjects that you're an expert at. And yeah, we'll have you back soon.
Jonathan, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone, and please have a fantastic day.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Bye now.